Well, let's have a complete change of topic now as we talk to Sean, who's calling us from Northern Ireland. Whereabouts, Sean?
From Derry, Rod.
From Derry. Well, welcome.
Yeah.
It's nice to have you.
Thank you so much. A question which I'm sure other people have asked before, but whilst I understand that human activity can contribute to climate change, with what's happening, for example, in Australia and China, what's happened in the UK in the last month, could part of this be cyclical? You know, for example, I think it was in the 1600s that they used to hold frost fairs on the Thames when it was frozen.
Hi, Sean.
Hi.
Well, this is one of the really big questions, isn't it? To what extent are the changes that we see in a short time on Earth attributable to just general variation? And to what extent are we influencing the climate and therefore the weather? And there's almost certainly a combination of both going on. There will always be variations, and there will be long-term variations. We know that the Earth has gone through patterns of hot spots and cold spots, and one explanation for that is that if you look at the way that the Earth goes around the Sun, there's a bit of a wobble, and it has what's called precession. A bit like if you look at a spinning top, as it slows down, it wobbles a bit. And this affects the amount of energy which is being inputted to the Earth's surface over big, long timescales. And so there are these so-called Milankovitch cycles of warming and cooling, which match up with when we get ice ages and when we get hot times. So to a certain extent, a wobble in the way the Earth goes around the Sun, combined with the Sun also changes its activity over, we know there's an 11-year sunspot cycle, and this in itself influences rainfall, because people have done studies looking at some of the African lakes, and they've been able to show an 11-year period of rising and falling in the maximum levels in some of the big bodies of water like Lake Victoria and Lake Tanganyika in Africa, and those directly correlate with sunspot activity and sunspot records. So we know that there are other things that vary in a cyclical way, and they have direct impacts on short-term and long-term scales on the Earth's surface. But the other really big thing that we have to be concerned about is to what extent are our own activities adding to this mix. And we know that the Earth has gone through phases of being colder and warmer, and we know that the CO2 level changes in step with those temperature changes. And when there's more CO2, the world is warmer, and when there's less CO2, the world is cooler. Now, if you look at the grand scheme of things, the Earth should now be getting colder, and the CO2 level should actually be going down. We're actually seeing temperatures rising and CO2 levels rising, and those rises are all very short term. In the last couple of 100 years, we've seen the level go up by 30% in the atmosphere. And so therefore we think that there is probably a human impact which is either happening or is going to happen. You can't change the level of CO2 on the scale of a whole planet and not expect to see consequences.